In this lesson, I'm going to take you through an overview of the Workflow tab of your Bubbles editor. Workflows are a way for you to make something happen in your application. A very easy example is when someone clicks a button on a page, then an email will go out. Or maybe they click a button and they are taken to another page in your application. So this is where you create actions, functionality, and this works in an if this, then that environment. If something happens, then do something else. Okay, so here's an example. I have, this is a contact page, a contact page for the Coaching No Codes app. And I have a few different options for people to get in touch with me. At the very bottom, there's a general contact form. This is a very straightforward example of some design that we have where the user can fill in their name in an input, they can fill in their email, they can type in their message, and then there's a button for them to click, right? So now we have to tell Bubble when the user clicks this button, we want an email to go out with all of this information. Right? So this is how we start. We'll click on this button in the property editor. We'll hit Start Edit Workflow. And then we can have actions. And this can be many actions. You can have a sequence of actions here. It doesn't have to be just one thing. Creating a multi-step workflow here will, that's where you really start to customize and enhance the functionality of your application. You can have multiple things fire all at once. So when this button is clicked, the first thing I want to happen is to send an email. Now, where did I grab this action? How did this show up here? There is an empty box here that says click here to add an action, and you have a big list of all the different types of things that you can have Bubble do. And they're categorized. They're categorized in different groupings here. So the first one is account. So anything related to a user account, actions like signing the user up, logging them in or out, or logging them in with a social network, changing their password, sending them a password confirmation email. You can create an account for somebody else. All of these are account related things. Then you have navigation actions. These have to do with how you changing the page of the application, right? Because in our app, we can have multiple pages and we can take the user to all those pages by using this go to page action. We select the page we want to take them to, and when they click the button, they will be taken to that page. You can also refresh the page, open an external website, so something that's not on your app's domain. Maybe if I wanted to take them to Google, for example, or there are other particular navigation related actions here too. Then you have anything that's related to the database. So creating new records, updating a record, updating a list of records, deleting records. You can upload data as CSV. This has everything to do with managing your database in a dynamic way so that your users can generate data or modify data. Then you have email related actions. Usually if you install email related plugins, a few more things will show up here. Then you have payment related actions. I've currently have a Stripe plugin integrated. That's a payment gateway that's very popular with Bubble apps. So I can accept payments, and all of the payment related actions are listed, like charging the user, collecting their credit card, creating a subscription, things like that. If you have any analytics plugins, then those actions will become available here if there are any. And then element actions are related to the elements on your page. So let's say you have a button that's hidden, and only when they click some other button will you show that hidden thing. Or maybe you want to show a pop-up element, or show a confirmation message. This is more about manipulating the elements that are already designed on the page. And depending on what elements are on the page, you will have different options show up here. So the more that you add, the more you'll see. For plugins, any plugins that have actions that come with it, those will all be listed here. You can see that I have a lot of plugins installed. There's one Stripe one that actually has dozens of plugins for it alone. And so all plugin related actions will show up there, categorized, or sorry, organized alphabetically by their plugin name. And then custom events is for more advanced workflows, which we'll talk in more detail in other lessons. But just to give you an overview that there are very many things you can do. And I really encourage you to start looking through these and play around with them. Just have buttons trigger different things to see what happens. Each of these actions also has its own set of requirements. So for example, if I were to add the action to sign up a user, you can see that I need to provide an email address for the user and a password. So that would mean I need to provide inputs on the page to connect to this. And let's go back to our send email because it's the same type of thing. So here's a send email action. And the recipient of the email, since this is a general contact form that I want users to fill out so that they all go to me as the owner of this application, I'm having this go to the website admin email. Now, this is something that you set up in your settings for what your website admin email is, but I could also type in here a custom email address if I wanted to. And then I'm setting the reply to address as whatever email the user typed in here in this input. So this input's value is being referenced in this blue expression here. Anything that's blue means it's dynamic. So it's something that I can't anticipate ahead of time. I'm just saying, hey, Bubble, whatever is typed into this particular input, that's what I want you to put in here in this reply to field. The same thing for the sender name. I've provided the user with an input to enter in their name. And so that's the value I want to display in this sender name value here. I don't know what name it's going to be ahead of time. And you know, I get multiple messages all the time from different people. So I want them to be able to fill in their own name so that I can see this dynamically. The subject, I don't mind this being the exact same subject every single time. So I've typed that in myself. This does not need to be a dynamic value. The body of the message definitely needs to be dynamic because that's a different message per visitor. So they are entering in their message in this input here. It's a lot bigger for them to type more. And that value is going into the body here. So this one action alone has a number of settings to make it work properly, and I can customize it, you know, however I want it to be. When this button is clicked, this action will run and I will get an email. There's nothing more to it. I have a couple other actions that follow it just to let the user know on the front end that their email went through. If I were to have just this action, then there's really no feedback or any kind of indication that the user was successful in clicking that button. They would click it and nothing would happen. Usually you want to show them a little alert that says, you know, your message was sent, or you want to change the way this form looks, maybe reset it so that everything clears out. They can at least see that something happened. So that's exactly what I'm doing in these subsequent actions here. You can see in step 2, the next thing I have is to reset relevant inputs. That basically means clear out any inputs that were used in this workflow. So it's going to clear the email, the name, and the message inputs out. And there's no other configuration needed for that. It'll just do it. It'll clear out anything used in the workflow. And then the step 3 action is to show a little alert message. And this is a separate element that I've created right here. And it's at the top of the page. By default, it says success, and I'm using this alert message for multiple things on the page. So instead of creating multiple alert messages, Bubble actually lets you change the message of a single alert element in case you want to reuse it. You know, it's styled the same. You really just want to change the wording. You don't have to create multiple messages to change the message. So I'm using the same alert, but it's not going to say success. Instead, it's going to say, thank you, your message has been sent. And here I can configure some timing things. So by nature, this alert element is meant to show only when you show it in a workflow. It's going to be hidden by default, and it will fade in for half a second. Or it will take half a second to fade in, and then it will stay on the page for 2 seconds. You can see that this is in milliseconds here, and then it will take half a second to fade out. And that's the behavior of this message. It'll just kind of flash in, hold for a moment, and then go away. So this is a very simple workflow. When the button is clicked, we'll send an email, and then we will run these 2 actions to let the user know that their message was sent and they can move on, right? So this is how the workflow area is going to work overall. This is where you create functionality in your application, and it's not just stuff to happen flat on the page, just like this contact form down here, but it's also things that can happen in your database. Like I showed you before, there are actions that let users create records in your database, make changes to those records. We can do many more advanced things like run server-side workflows. We can have, dozens and dozens of actions happening at one time. That's certainly not a rare thing, just depending on what you're doing. We're going to go through examples of workflows in the context of an actual application in later lessons. But this was a quick look at how Bubble thinks. When you're in this area, you have a trigger, and then you have some effect. If this, then that. Real quick, there are a couple of organization tools that are also available to you here in workflows. The first one is you can color code your events, which is really, really helpful, especially once you have a lot of events here. I've worked with many apps where this is just kind of a wall of events, hundreds of events, with more complex applications. So you definitely want to stay organized. So you can color code them like this to find things very easily. By whatever color coding system you want to give it. You can also rename your events. Send message to Gabby, something like that. And so now I've relabeled it. It sorts itself alphabetically. So a lot of times I end up putting numbers in front of them so that I can see if there's a specific sequence of things, or if I just want to group things differently, I can do that. You can also put events in workflow folders. This is simply a filtering system for you as you're creating your workflows. It's just to organize it. It has no impact on when actions are run, or if they run in a certain group, if they run in a certain order. It has nothing to do with that. It's purely a visual organization tool. So for example, here I can create a folder for contact form. And if I go over to the left side where I list all my folders, I can click contact form, and it'll filter those down to only show me the events for the contact form. I tend to use folders when there are a lot of different actions that can be organized by section. For example, if you're building a dashboard and you have an account section, you have a charts section, you have a messaging system, you have search and filters. All of those can be kind of globally categorized by their main function. And if you create folders for each of those things, it's easier for you to come back in here and find the thing you need. You can also relabel your folder if you need, or get rid of it entirely. Deleting a folder does not delete your workflow events. Don't worry, it's just to remove that view. And then you also have a workflow tree. This is not something that I tend to use very much. I would be really interested in seeing how other people use this. It's never been very useful for me just because I see things a little bit more clearly out here rather than in this squished down view, but it's here if you need it. It shows you all of the events as the top level list, and then you can open up the event to see all of the actions that are underneath it. I would imagine that if you have dozens and dozens of actions within an event, it might be easier to find within this list in a vertical view like that, because it is more compressed. But that's completely up to you. Give it a shot and see if that becomes useful for you. So that's another organizational tool. You do have the comment area here, just like we did in the elements, to let you save notes for your different workflow events, as well as on the individual actions. You can also create notes for individual actions. You'll notice up here in the upper right, you can see a small text that says see all. This will pull up all of your notes in your entire application. So you can jump around to your different notes. You don't have to go back to the original thing to go find it. So that's a look at how this workflow area is structured. We will go much deeper into this with real examples within an application.